At society, Diane and Jack rave about Harrison coming home, but Kyle is distracted. He tells his concerned parents that Audra kissed him in front of Claire. Jack and Diane find out how it all went down, and Kyle confesses he saw doubt in Claire's eyes. It was just a flash, but it was there. His parents pry out of him that he and Audra also kissed in Nice. He insists he was setting a trap. Jack is concerned that keeping this from Claire is a high-wire act. Diane agrees. This will come back to bite him. Kyle, knowing better than his parents, just wants to move on. Jack warns if it gets out, Claire may start to wonder if Audra's lies are true. Stop digging the hole any deeper. At the tack house, Victoria gets an update on Claire's evening with Tessa and learns that it didn't end so well. They ran into Audra and Nate, and she told him everything that happened. She explains how it went down. Victoria wants to know who Nate believed. In the park, Devin asks Nate how he's holding up and offers a shoulder to lean on after his brother's death. Nate says it's not that, it's Audra. She may be as untrustworthy as everyone warned him she is. He explains how it went down. Devin asks who he believed. Nate has to admit that Audra's deal with Victor made no sense at all, and after France, she's suddenly walking away. There's more. Audra and Kyle were caught kissing at society. He asks for Devin's take. The person Devin trusts the least is Audra. Nate's unsurprised. Devin shares that, according to Abby, Victor wants nothing more than to break up Kyle and Claire. Plus, the perfume war was her idea. She instigated everything. Pacing, Nate argues that Kyle seemed to jump at the chance to be a part of it. None of this makes sense. Devin urges him to go with his gut. Nate's afraid of that answer. Meanwhile, Audra meets Sally at Crimson Lights. The redhead's all business, but Audra launches into complaining that the witch, Claire, told Nate everything about her deal with Victor. She explains how it went down. "Who knew she had it in her?" she rants. Sally asks if Nate believed her. Audra's not about to let Little Miss Muffet screw up her relationship. She had to blame Kyle. Sally thinks the blame goes both ways. Audra rolls her eyes and points out that Claire doesn't know about the kissing in a towel and believes she's the villain. When she admits that Nate slept on the couch after grilling her, Sally advises that lying isn't the best way to save her relationship. She reminds her this was the risk she took when she accepted Victor's deal. Audra's sure she can fix this, as Claire has no proof. Sally warns Victor has the proof. Audra's sure he won't admit to his role. She rants about Kyle being so self-righteous and admits she kissed him at society, just as Claire walked in. Sally can't help but laugh. "You are playing with fire!" Sobering, she reminds Audra that Adam kept the truth from her, and it made things worse. She doesn't want her to blow up her relationship with Nate. Nate arrives, so Sally makes herself scarce. Audra asks her boyfriend if he wants to hear her truth again. He says it's time she listened to him. Audra wants to drop the subject of Kyle and Victor altogether, but Nate can't do that. He's run everything through his head, and his gut tells him she's lying. At the ranch, Victor sits thinking about the Kyle and Claire situation and how pig-headed he's been about it. Nikki wanders in and knows something is troubling him. Pouring tea, Nikki fishes to find out what's going on with her husband. He cryptically says it's about Claire and Kyle. It's time to settle this once and for all. Victor shows up at the tack house and asks to speak to Claire privately. Claire snaps that she has to go. Victor presses for her to hear him out. Victoria warns her father before leaving them to it. With tears welling, Victor tells Claire he loves her and respects her. He's wanted to protect her in his way. She doesn't need protecting from Kyle. Victor declares he will no longer stand in the way between her and Kyle. Claire's suspicious about the change of heart. Victor's watched her grieve Cole's death. They both grew up without parents, and he adores her. All he ever wanted to do was protect her. He tends to go too far sometimes. They embrace and he asks for forgiveness. At society, Jack gripes about Victor starting all of this trouble for Kyle and Claire. As Kyle changes the subject to Harrison's return, Victor calls Kyle and demands his presence at the ranch. Claire arrives and urges her boyfriend to go. Everything has changed. Kyle leaves and Nikki and Victoria walk in. Claire announces that her grandfather is backing off and admitted he was wrong. Nikki's suspicious that he's working an angle. Jack frowns about Victor having a heart. Claire tells them it was definitely on the level and makes an Academy Award-worthy speech, thanking everyone for their support. Jack warns that with the mustache, another shoe could be yet to drop. Kyle arrives at the ranch, and Victor declares that it's time to end this. He's put Kyle to the test all these months and pushed him to the point where he thought he'd break. He passed the test. "You've convinced me that you truly love my granddaughter, so now I will step aside." Kyle's grateful for his blessing. Victor wouldn't go that far. He's an Abbottian after all. "Just know, Kyle, I'll be watching you." Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Friday, August 22nd, have Nate forcing Audra to come clean, and Kane tasking Phyllis with her first assignment. Nate heard directly from Claire her story, that Audra had conspired with Victor to seduce Kyle. Audra has denied it, but Nate can't help but be open to the idea that this could all be true. It certainly makes sense as to why Victor even entertained handing money over to Audra. Conversely, Nate doesn't want to believe the woman he cares about would seduce another man for money. Nate listened to what Claire had to say. Then, he quizzed Audra on Claire's accusations. Audra fired back that Kyle is lying to Claire, and he's been coming on to her. Nate is not dismissing Audra's theory. Frankly, he'd probably love it to be true. But is it? On Friday's show, watch for Nate to force Audra to come clean. Will she? Audra is a keen strategist. She may stick to her guns and deny Claire's version of events, or she may fess up and tell Nate everything. If she does that, she could lose the man she professes to love. Kane has promised that his plans will be revealed. On Friday's show, viewers may get some insights into the billionaire's master scheme as he instructs Phyllis on her first task. Phyllis has promised Kane her loyalty, and we can see her going up against Jack, Victor, and Adam. But would the fiery redhead even turn on Nick, the ex-husband she loved to play video games with? Maybe not. Perhaps Kane is going to find out if Phyllis will carry out his instructions. This could be a loyalty test. If Phyllis delivers, then Kane will be more likely to trust her in the future. If not, she could find herself on the unemployment line. Knowing Phyllis, she'll stay 2 steps ahead of Kane if she can. It seems like the Young and the Restless writers have kept Daniel in limbo for quite some time, ever since his girlfriend Heather was murdered in September of 2024. He feels disoriented and isn't sure what his next career move should be, but after his talk with Holden at Society this week, it feels like the writers may have given us a hint. On Tuesday's episode of The Young and the Restless, Holden mentioned to Daniel that he always wanted to open a nightclub when he lived in Los Angeles. Daniel recalled that his stepbrother, Noah Newman, used to own the Glam Club in Genoa City. Unfortunately, it wasn't a big success, and it closed down. Daniel noted that a nightclub is precisely what the Genoa City residents need. A place with live music where musicians could jam, he said. Could this be a sign of inspiration for him to consider opening his own club in the near future? We know he isn't wealthy like the Newmans or Abbotts, but maybe his sister Summer could loan him enough money to open the club and get it up and running, since her career at Marchetti is thriving in Milan. Maybe Tessa could provide some of the club's live music, since she sings and plays guitar. Daniel and Tessa have developed a nice friendship ever since she started giving him guitar lessons. Their musical bond has been therapeutic for both of them. It's been helping to take her mind off her relationship woes with Mariah. And it's a creative outlet for Daniel that's bringing some joy into his life since Heather died. Perhaps he could occasionally perform at the club himself, and that would give him a sense of pride and purpose after being unemployed for so long. It would also keep his creative juices flowing. As longtime fans know, he's an artist. Maybe he could decorate the walls of the club with his paintings and make his artwork available for sale. That way, his establishment would be a combination of nightclub and art gallery. That would kill 2 birds with 1 stone, since Genoa City doesn't have either a club or a gallery at the moment. Daniel's rock star father, Danny, has been preoccupied with his engagement to Christine right now. But once the wedding and honeymoon are over, and he has some time in between tours, we know he would love to sing at Daniel's club. Maybe he and Daniel could even perform together. They could be a father-son version of Naomi and Wynonna Judd, but in a different genre of music than country. The Genoa City residents would be thrilled to watch them, especially Daniel's mom, Phyllis, his daughter, Lucy, and Christine. Besides, there's been so much tragedy lately on The Young and the Restless. With the recent deaths of Cole, Chance, and Damien, many of the town's residents are feeling heartbroken and devastated. They need a cheerful gathering place where they can laugh, dance, spend time with family and friends, and enjoy a cocktail or two. Even the characters who aren't suffering the loss of a loved one are in bad shape because they're tense and anxious about Kane's goal to take over all the prominent companies in Genoa City. Those characters need a place to unwind and relax, and a fun new hotspot is the perfect place to do that. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that fans may see a mole operation, a huge hiring mistake, and Amanda Sinclair's next legal crisis. Multiple shockers are still to come in Genoa City, so we should think about where some big storylines might be headed. Victor Newman tasked Nick Newman with befriending Kane Ashby and trying to establish an alliance, but Adam Newman isn't convinced that plan is a recipe for success. That's why Adam intends to tackle this Kane situation from another angle, one that may involve a very different alliance. Since Holden Novak has been in Adam and Chelsea Lawson's orbit lately, Y&R could be laying the groundwork for something. Holden works for Kane and has proven he has a shady side, so Adam may think he's found the perfect mole. If Adam can convince Holden to work for him instead, then maybe he can score confidential Kane info and be better prepared for any threats that are on the horizon. Sally Spectra's decision to hire Audra Charles at Abbott Communications could come back to bite her. Billy Abbott's concerns could be an indicator that things won't go all that smoothly with Audra reporting to Sally. Audra likes to talk a good game, but she doesn't have a lot of professional victories to go with that confidence of hers. It seems like Audra is a drama magnet and perhaps cursed since she's connected to so many failed business opportunities. Will Audra find some way to sabotage things at Abbott Communications just when Sally's trying to get it off the ground? Whether Audra means to or not, she could blow up Sally's big opportunity and make Sally wish she'd never hired her in the first place. Amanda Sinclair has been off-screen ever since all the chaos in Nice wrapped up, but there'll surely be some new legal matter that requires her attention sooner or later. Kane values Amanda's advice as his trusted attorney, so he may summon her with alarming news if another crisis hits hard. Amanda will inevitably make the trip back to Genoa City at some point, so there may be a mess to clean up or some sneaky plan to help Kane pull off. Kane may find fresh ways to test Amanda's loyalty, so stay tuned for updates on what's next for Amanda and how Phyllis Summers will fit into the story. The Young and the Restless spoilers say some surprises are coming up in GC, so don't miss all the mayhem. The Young and the Restless, spoilers for Friday, August 22nd, reveal that Kane Ashby will have a top-secret project for Phyllis Summers, while Audra Charles confesses to Nate Hastings. First, let's talk about Kane's orders for Phyllis, since he's about to put her to work on something. Phyllis and Kane have done enough strategizing, so now it's time for some real action and a step toward accomplishing Kane's takeover goals. Kane mentioned putting Phyllis's hacking talents to good use and doing a little shopping in enemy territory. So will that be the first assignment he delivers? Could Kane have something else for Phyllis to pull off first? Whatever the case, Kane will indeed have a top-secret project for Phyllis to tackle on Friday's Y&R episode. It'll give Phyllis a chance to prove her worth and show her loyalty, so she'll likely pass Kane's test. Over with Nate, he'll back Audra into a difficult corner. Audra often tries to talk her away out of trouble, or at least delay the inevitable with constant lies. However, that's not going to work this time around since Nate is trusting his gut and can tell that Audra isn't giving him the real story. That's why Nate will push for honesty and perhaps warn Audra that their relationship can't move forward without it. Audra may find herself in a situation where she's doomed to lose Nate either way. Nate isn't going to put up with all the deception anymore, but the truth isn't going to help Audra much either in the end. Nevertheless, it looks like Audra will see that a confession is her only option. Once Nate applies more pressure, Audra should admit Claire Newman was right about Victor Newman hiring her to split up Claire and Kyle Abbott. Audra also kissed Kyle in another attempt to stir the pot, so she may confess to instigating that too and try to apologize for all the drama she's caused. Unfortunately, Audra doesn't seem very remorseful for any of it, so that may be a problem for Nate. Even if Audra tries to summon some tears and act apologetic, Nate may think she's only sorry that she got caught. The Young and the Restless spoilers say some breakup news may be in Audra's future. Devin shows up for Nate and also crosses paths with Lily. For the Friday, August 22nd episode of The Young and the Restless, spoiler photos focus on a grim Nate chatting with Devin. Devin and Lily also share some quality FaceTime. Poor Nate. He has been experiencing a lot of hurt, confusion, and grief lately. He just said goodbye to the half-brother he had just met, and he is suspicious of his girlfriend, who keeps lying to him. Can you blame him for looking so grim sitting by himself at the bar? Even though his gut feeling is telling him that Audra is lying about everything, he needs confirmation. According to teasers, Nate forces Audra to come clean. So this miserable look on his face? If it's before his confrontation with his significant other, then the expression will only get worse. Nate will need Devin's support to get through this trying time. His personal life is experiencing an epic shakeup. Thankfully, Devin loves to give advice and share his words of wisdom. Hopefully, he'll refrain from any "I told you so" moments for the time being. Finally, Devin and Lily always have a lot to talk about, and almost none of it is about Winters Inc. business. Undoubtedly, the two will discuss the Nate and Audra of it all. Lily has never trusted Audra, and she was super suspicious of Nate's girlfriend while they were in Nice. Who wants to bet their conversation may also veer into Kane Ashby territory? After all, Lily and Kane's kids now know about how Kane has spent the last 6 years becoming a billionaire. Bet Devin will have some words of wisdom to share with Lily too. On August 21st, 2021, 1. The Young and the Restless, Melissa Claire Egan and her husband Matt Katrasar welcomed their first child, and today the proud parents will be celebrating the 4th birthday of their son Caden. To mark the day, we are taking a look back at some of his adorable firsts, as well as a few special moments that followed. Following Caden's birth, Egan posted a few precious photos of her first child simply captioned, "Hello World," which included him wrapped in a blanket, holding his mommy's finger, and sleeping the day away. Oh, the life of a newborn. On September 28th, 21, the daytime fave, who shared a pic of her and Caden looking cool in sunglasses and celebrating her birthday, stated, "This is 40. We can't forget about Caden's daddy." Here's a sweet shot of Katrosar holding his boy close to his chest as the two gazed into the camera. When October rolled around, the family posed for their first obligatory pumpkin patch photo. At the time of the pic, Egan reported that the day had been going great so far. And with October comes Halloween, and Caden was all dressed up as a pirate, as Egan warned her husband that she was only allowing this once, and explained that Matt's been a pirate every year since the 3rd grade. Though she didn't join her hubby and son as pirates and was in a league of her own, the family set the memory in stone with another photo first. With Caden dressed up in the most adorable plaid shirt, tan pants, and newsboy hat, Egan expressed, "My love for my son, only matched by my love for Newsies." On the heels of the previous photo came another holiday first, where the actress shared how thankful she was while wishing her followers a happy Thanksgiving, and a series of pics came next for Caden's first Christmas, including a family shot, a few solo acts for Caden, and a peek at his very first ornament. This warmed our heart. Caden couldn't hide his sweet smile, as his mommy did the same while kissing his cheek. And speaking of smiles, propped against his daddy's chest, Caden and his pop gave the camera their best as Egan shared one of her hubby's firsts. "Someone ate avocado for the first time today, and Caden's doing well too." Egan took her boy out to see a friend, and though the goings-on around him left Caden falling fast asleep, it didn't stop his mommy from having a good time, even if her friend had to lend a helping hand. To celebrate his daddy's birthday, Caden smiled for the camera as Egan shared a special message for her husband. "You're the best friend, husband, and now dad I could ever imagine. So grateful to go through life with you. Thanks for making me laugh every day, even when you're mostly making fun of me. I love you. There's no question who this duo is rooting for, but for those who aren't into sports, Egan and Caden are clearly fans of the North Carolina Tar Heels football team. The couple's little man got all dolled up for his first Easter in a blue and white shirt, complete with a yellow bow tie, tan pants, and straw hat to match. It appears that bow ties are his thing, as Caden is once again decked out in a red one, along with Mom and Dad, who were all dressed up right along with him. And Egan and her hubby had fun with Caden during a trip to Cape Cod, Massachusetts for her family reunion. So beautiful, so fun. Aunts, uncles, cousins, the parents, brothers, husband, baby, Cape Cod, downtown Boston, the aquarium, swan boat, all the things, she stated. A lot of laughs and a lot of clam chowder. On his big day to celebrate 1 year, Egan sent Caden a special birthday message. You are such a gift from God and a miracle, and we love you so much. You are the happiest little boy. You love peaches and blueberries, and already have the best sense of humor. Dad really wants you to be a lefty, but no pressure. Caden spent his first 4th of July having fun with family and friends, and you won't want to miss his big dance party with Mom. Video below. A few days later, on July 12, 2023, Caden became a big brother to his little bro, Jake Joseph Ketrasar. And on his 2nd birthday, Egan expressed how much joy Caden has brought to their lives and expressed, I love your personality and sense of humor. You still hate haircuts, but love the guitar, and are obsessed with the vacuum, and can't read this post, but it's fun to share anyway. All moms can attest to this. Man, am I tired, Egan shared while Caden clung to her back. But man, are they worth it! For Caden's 3rd birthday, Egan shared various pics and a super cute video as he and his brother had a little fun putting on a concert. For Halloween in 2024, Caden dressed up as a road worker while his mom got into costume as a witch, his dad as a pirate, and his little brother as a monkey. And that same year, the family welcomed a new pet, Bailey Ketrasar. Now that we've had a look back at some of Caden's fun memories, join us as we wish him a very happy birthday. Audra has an answer for Nate. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Friday, August 20th give Phyllis what she's been begging for, the chance to prove herself to Kane. But is she ready for what he asks? No matter how hard Kane works to manage Phyllis's expectations, she keeps insisting they're in business together. Even when Kane told her he'd work with her, but she worked for him, they were not equals. Phyllis managed to plug up her ears and sing, la 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 la, I can't hear you. So when Kane gives her an errand to run, Phyllis is bound to assume this means he's ready to go all in with her and behave accordingly, which she's been doing all along. Claire blabbed to Nate about what Audra and Kyle were up to in France, making Kyle the poor, put-upon, helpless victim, and Audra the big, bad bully. Audra tried to do damage control, but Nate wasn't buying it. Given some time to think about it, though, Nate has a few more questions, and Audra has another chance to bring him around to her way of thinking. Claire could save the best for last. Claire is on the path to revenge on the Young and the Restless. So far, Audra is the only person on the eye on her path. However, could she save her best revenge for Kyle? He's not exactly absolved from this situation. Claire has a new attitude these days. Instead of focusing on her grief, she is seeking revenge. She had her sights set on Audra, who's been desperate to destroy her relationship with Kyle. She made a deal with Victor to seduce Kyle. Claire joined Holden, Tessa, and Daniel in discussing grief while downing drinks at Society. After a few drinks, Claire felt bold. She was overcome with anger once she saw Audra and Nate step into the establishment. She pulled Nate aside and revealed Audra's deal with Victor. Never had Audra sprinted faster in her life than she did at that moment. Her lies were quick, but she walked into more trouble when she claimed that Victor didn't want Claire romantically involved with Kyle. Nate asked her how she knew that information. Kyle is not an innocent bystander. Claire walked into Society the moment that Audra kissed him, and Kyle looked like he was into it. Of course, this wasn't their first and only kiss. Kyle still hasn't confessed to their makeout session in Nice. He embellished the truth, so Claire wouldn't have doubts about their relationship. A kiss isn't just a kiss. Kyle cheated on Claire by kissing Audra, and he needs to fess up. So, she should save her revenge plot for him. Audra is already scrambling to fix her relationship with Nate, but the damage is already done. Nate had been questioning Audra's motives before he left for Nice. Now he finally has clarity about his own doubts. As for Claire, she could be the one who ends up cheating. Holden had already put the thought into her head that Kyle might not have been faithful in Nice. He's setting the pieces up so he can have Claire all to himself, and she might be willing to go all the way with him. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Victor Newman recognizes that Kane Ashby Beau is a threat. That's why the mustache used his minions to gather intel for the past months. Kane anticipated a far different reception than happened in France. His estate party, or whatever one wanted to term it, was an unmitigated disaster, including 3 deaths. The whole world knows who Aristotle Dumas is, now that Victor has given the green light to Adam Newman to smear Kane. But the recast character Kane is playing only cares that 3 of those people, including his ex-wife and their children, were negatively impacted. Chance Chancellor was a legacy character tied to the longest-standing family in Genoa City, Wisconsin. So, killing him off was a big deal. While Chance hasn't yet received a memorial service or even a send-off fitting of his blood tie importance, at least the fans were part of an inside joke. Readers of this comprehensive site know that Floyd was tapped to replace Flynn as Chad Dimera. Viewers of Days of Our Lives will see Floyd's debut next year due to that soap's highly advanced recording schedule. So, Kane asking Chance to be at the gathering in the south of France was purposeful. Kane's death scene was also a wink at the character swap between Days and Y&R. Lily Winters keeps telling Kane that she's done with him, yet Khalil and Flynn continue to appear in ongoing scenes. Kane is desperate to reconcile with his true love and the mother of their children. She knows he's sincere, but naturally doesn't trust him after all that's been revealed and has gone down. Accepting Victor's lead, Lily is attempting to pry information from Kane about whatever his takeover plans are, but he's not divulged anything. However, Kane stated that he would abandon his plan if she would give him a second chance, with no pun intended, as Chance was fully addressed in the section above. Eventually, Lily seems destined to relent, but plenty of plot space is ahead before that becomes feasible. Kane told Billy Abbott and Phyllis Summers that he needs people on his team. Subsequently, he had a falling out with Billy when telling him that Jabot is a target. Phyllis is on board, but was reminded that she's not Kane's equal. He appears to be using her as a means to an end, and possibly wants her to be relaying information as a form of enemy distraction. There is no doubt that Kane wants Lily back. So, fans are focused on seeing what happens if he can't have her, or doesn't achieve reconciliation in the short term. In a stunning twist, Victor gave Kyle and Claire his blessing, but the damage is already done. Victor's shocking apology to Claire shows that he knows the damage is already done. By telling Claire that he will no longer stand in the way of her relationship on The Young and the Restless, he can make himself look like a good guy. On the Wednesday, August 21st episode of Y&R, Victor sat down at the Newman Ranch and recalled all the conversations he had with Claire and Kyle about their relationship. He thought about the times when he said he didn't approve of them dating. Victor looked back at his history with the Abbotts, which led to his obsession with hating Kyle. He tried to bribe Kyle into signing a contract that read he would receive $5 million if he broke up with Claire. Kyle turned it down, which upset Victor. So, he made a deal with Audra to break up Kyle and Claire. But now that the truth is out, Victor wants to play the good cop. He flew over to Claire's house to apologize and say he will stick his nose out of their business. Victor never takes responsibility for his mistakes and never apologizes. So, what is this all about? He claims that he didn't want his relationship with his granddaughter to end up like this. But this sudden admission of defeat could suggest that Victor is trying to make himself look good in the end. He probably has an idea that Claire and Kyle's relationship is on shaky ground. He can look like a hero while Kyle looks like the bad guy. After his conversation with Claire, Victor called Kyle and asked him to meet him at the Newman Ranch. He told Kyle that he passed the test and proved his faithfulness to Claire. But that's not all. Victor still knows that Kyle is an abbot, and he can't trust that. He warned Kyle that he still has his eye on him. Once their relationship ends, which it inevitably will once the truth comes out, Victor will be there for Claire with open arms. He ends up winning in the end. The young and the restless spoilers tease that Audra Charles will announce her pregnancy in the coming weeks. She will tell Nate Hastings, Jr. that she is expecting, making him believe he is going to be a dad. This may not be good news to Nate. That is especially true if Claire Newman succeeds in turning Nate against Audra. With Audra gunning for Kyle Abbott and Claire's relationship, Victor Newman's daughter aims to destroy Miss Charles' life first. The young and the restless spoilers reveal that Claire plans on waiting for Nate to return to Genoa City after Damian Kane's funeral to drop the bombshell on him. She will fill him in on Victor Newman's scheme to drive a wedge between her and Kyle. Claire will tell Nate that Victor offered Audra funding in exchange for seducing Kyle. She will add that Audra accepted Victor's offer and tried to seduce Kyle, including the kiss she witnessed at society. This will blow Nate's mind as he never suspected Audra would betray him in this manner, especially after his brother just passed away. Nate won't waste any time. He confronts Audra about Claire's bombshell. She will likely try to deny it, but Nate senses she isn't being honest with him. It might be enough for Nate to end their relationship. The young and the restless spoilers reveal that Audra tries to win Nate back. He won't budge, so Audra makes a desperate choice to force him back into her arms. She claims she found out that she was pregnant. Audra knows that Nate would make a wonderful father. She also knows that he wouldn't abandon her if she was expecting his child. It's a manipulative move, but a scheme that would be right up Audra's alley. Nate will have his doubts about her pregnancy. He suspects that she could be lying. However, there is a chance that she could be expecting his child. The young and the restless spoilers reveal that Nate will have a decision to make regarding Audra. Nate knows he cannot trust her, as she lies so often.